Hey guys, Hocus Pocus here. How are you doing today? Welcome to, or welcome back to, depending on whether or not you've been here before, the Minecraft LP series. This is episode 142, and today I'm very excited to show you something for the intro of this video. So, over the weekend, I've been spending some time in Oasis. They had some art auctions going on, so I've been expecting a package, and they finally sent it. So, here's my package, priority mail. As you can see, they don't spare any costs over there in Oasis. They send everything through priority mail, which is great. So it arrived fairly quickly. And this is a present to say sorry to Mr. Mending, because if you guys recall correctly, if you noticed in the last episode, I actually forgot to finish up the ceiling of his house. So I went to the art auction and I've actually bought him the Mild West by Banksy. So I spent a ton of diamonds on this. We've also got the authenticity certificate to go with it. And I think that he's going to be very grateful because, as I say, this has cost me a lot of money. This is a very exclusive piece of art. And Mr. Mending, as I say, was a little bit upset about his ceiling. So there's only one way I can really compromise with him, and that is to purchase him a gift. So where is he? Oh, he's hanging out over here. Okay, Mr. Mending, I finally bought your painting that I promised you. Here it is. It's been sent over from Oasis. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to hang it up here. So, yeah, that doesn't look quite right, does it? That's not the painting we're after. Let's try again. Nope. Again, too big. Let's try again. Yeah, that's not what we're after either. Ah, that truly is an astonishing piece of art. So we finally figured out how to place the painting properly. Because, of course, the Mild West is not a 3x3 painting at all. It is simply a 1x1. And this is where it's going to stay. And I've spoke to Mr. Mending. He said he forgives me for the ceiling. And as you can see, we actually have cleaned it up between episodes as well. So he's more than happy, more than content. And I think what I'll do before I get out of here is pop the authenticity certificate in his chest so that he's got it on hand. He can prove to all of his friends that this is indeed the real Mild West by Banksy. I really don't know how his friends are going to contain their jealousy, to be honest. I almost can't believe that we've got this amazing piece of art inside of my base. I mean, I know it's Mending's house, really, but yeah, just don't tell him, okay? This is also in our base as well. But now that we've figured out Mr. Mending and got him back to his happy ways, let's get on with today's episode. All right then, guys, let's get things moving. So for today, I've set myself up a little shulker box with a few items in. So as you can probably tell, we're going to be working on something redstone related and the more technical side of the game, which brings me to another quick thing that I wanted to bring up. So some of you guys may have realized that recently I've started a modded series on the channel, and although this is totally fine and I'm not trying to force you guys to watch it or anything like that, the modded series actually seems to get considerably less views than the regular vanilla LP, almost around half to 3/4 of the views that the vanilla LP gets. So I was just going to say to you guys, and right now I'm going to overlay a few clips of our base in the modded world, just so that you guys can see it for yourselves, if you maybe haven't checked the series out yet, that if you're into the technical side of Minecraft, you should definitely check that series out, because we're doing a lot of cool things at the moment, and you might see in the clips I'm flying around, so that's a little bit of a spoiler for next episode. We've actually managed to get ourselves a creative flight ring that allows us to fly around the world, so if you guys are maybe even a little bit interested in that, I urge you to go over there and check it out, because I'm having a lot of fun playing it, and I would really like it if you guys would enjoy watching it and seeing me play it too, you know? So that is one thing that I want to bring up. The second thing that I wanted to tell you guys is a little bit about what we're going to do today. So we've been doing a lot of the beacon mining. I can't remember where the beacon is. It's somewhere over there, I think. We're maybe just out of range to see it at the moment, but the beacon mining has been a bit of a success, but it also comes with the downfalls of producing a lot of items, and we really don't have anywhere to store them. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to think about making some caches, some deep storage caches out here in the plains. So I don't really have a plan for this, if I'm totally honest, but we're going to start out maybe with something like a 5x5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're just going to dig down, and these things are going to be stored in the ground. So I really am not sure if this is where I want to place the first one either, to be honest. I haven't planned this out at all, as I say. But I was figuring that we'd have them positioned somewhere around the outside portion of the base. So Maybe over here is good. We haven't got a lot going on. Eventually, I do want to tear down the village as well. So we will think about doing it right here. And then what we want to do is just take things down a little bit. So as I say, these are going to be deep storage units. They're going to go down into the ground like this. And what I want them to do is, I want them to store mass quantities of a single item. So each cache will store its own item. So we will have things like cobblestone, stone, andesite, probably not andesite actually, but maybe diorite, granite, things like that. Things that we don't use often but have tons of. And I want to have a redstone mechanism that allows us to have items sent up from the cache to ourselves at the top here. So what we'll do is we'll have a button maybe, and pressing the button will send up hopefully around a stack or so of the item, depending on what item it is. So we're going to have this run on a clock of some sort and try to figure out timings and all that good stuff. So this could be a very interesting episode, especially for me, because I don't think my redstone skills are actually great enough to pull this off. So it's going to take a lot of research at the same time, I believe. So I don't know how deep I want to go really. How deep are we at the moment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go to about 9 deep, perhaps. I think that might be a sensible choice. So we'll go down 9 deep. And then we will start a chain of chests and hoppers that will store all of our items. And then I think down at the bottom, we'll have a dropper. And the items are fed into the dropper. And then eventually they will be shot up a water chute that goes up through the middle of this thing. And will be stood up there somewhere. And all the items will be distributed to the surface right into our inventory. So something else I wanted you guys to tell me down in the comments is whether or not you know who Banksy is. So, of course, Banksy, he was the guy that painted the Mild West, the painting that we bought for Mr. Mending. And I always assumed that he was a world-renowned artist, but I am not entirely sure. So if you guys could let me know whether or not you know who he is, that would be awesome, just so that I can get a grasp of things. Because the reason why I say that is that he is actually from the same city that I'm from. So, you know, he's very, very well known in the city that I'm from, but I don't know whether or not he's well known around the world. Anyway, that is kind of besides the point, because what we're doing right now is figuring out how we're going to sort of store items in this cache. So the chest that I placed up at the top, that will be the depository chest. So all of the items that we want to store in this cache will be deposited into that chest. And then that chest will run into a ring of hoppers that then distributes the items amongst 3 separate silo type storage systems that we'll have in here. So every single one of those is going to be 8 blocks tall. So we'll take it all the way up to the very last block, just because I want most of this to be hidden underground. So as I say, 8 blocks tall, 1 less than the height of this cache. So we're going to have 3 of those in total, 1 on each side. And this is going to be the last one right there. Okay, there we go. And then what we'll do is, as I say, we'll just have them as chests. So I'm not going to worry too much about the design of this thing at the moment. I just want to get the mechanism up and running. And then once we've got the mechanism up and running, we can think about making it look a bit pretty, because it's always good to get the function figured out first. And then afterwards, the form can take shape, right? Just because the function is a little bit more important than the form at the moment. So this will be the final chest. We'll have a hopper that leads down into that one like so on every single side. And then we'll just build up the chests as we usually do in these silos like this. Oops, that one actually, they need to connect, those 2 guys. So we'll take that back out, put it back in like that. And then, as I say, they'll just come down from the top all the way down into this final chest here. So it turned out that some of the chest placement was incorrect. We had to move these up by 1 block. And this will be where the dropper is, right here, shooting items into a central water column, as I mentioned. And then these chests actually have to go up by 2 blocks, because what we're going to do is we're going to make this section the priority. So items will go into here first, into this one second, into this one third. And then we will route all of the items from the bottom chest round in a loop that sort of returns on itself and heads back into this chest. So what we'll do is we'll have a chain of hoppers that runs this way. And they will connect up to this chest here, like so. So as you can see, that will make its way in that direction. And we actually may want to push this one up by a couple blocks as well, because this chest will filter into the bottom one there. So that's up by 2. This one has to be up by 3. So let's go up like this. And then we'll have our chest right here. Hopper like this. So these silos are actually going to get progressively smaller, which shouldn't make too much difference, because there's still going to be a ton of storage here. Still going to be very, very many chests available for items to sit in. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if this doesn't work out, we can make them bigger in the future, right? So let's get rid of this. And what we need to do now is link up the chests again. So we'll take a hopper similarly to this one from this chest here. So let's dig out a bit of space. And with all this gravel, it's slightly annoying, just because it falls like this every time you need to dig. So let's get rid of it all. There we go. And then, as I say, the hopper chain is going to run from here. So it's going to run from this block all the way around into this chest. So we're going to get rid of this as well, maybe that. And that is going to go all the way over here eventually. No, it's not. It's going to go into there. So chain around the corner and underneath this chest. And that should be about what we're looking at. So items prioritized into this section here, first of all. And then, of course, if this is all full, they'll go into this section here, but eventually be filtered into the bottom chest right here so that it can go into the system. And then if this one is full, it will eventually be stored right here, which is then filtered into this one, and that will be filtered down into that one. So everything will make its way down into the dropper eventually. Screw it, guys. Screw it. I've gone ahead and actually changed things up again. So we're going 15 deep now, just because I figured that with the 9 deep, and all of the incremental rises in blocks as we progress around the cache. With all of that in mind, there wouldn't be, you know, there needs to be a lot of chests is what I'm saying. And with the 15 deep, there are a lot of chests. So I've also got the dropper in place now. So what we're going to do is figure out how we're going to route items throughout the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a ring, as I said, of hoppers. And this is going to take so much iron. I really am not looking forward to it because our iron farm isn't producing anywhere near enough. And yeah, we're going to be eating into our supplies quite heavily. But, you know, this is something I wanted to do for a while. We don't have to build tons of these. We can just build them whenever we want them. And this water pool here will eventually get filled in as well, I'm thinking. So the loop will go all the way around and it will come... It's actually going to stop there, isn't it? It's going to come in this direction, like so. So let's keep bringing it around. Oops, and then it's going to make its way in this direction shortly. So once we get a block away from there, we'll go this way. And then as we're over the gap, this is where we'll stop. So the hoppers can then start from over here. So the final hopper will be right here. And then we can chain them away like this. So we actually had to start all the way over there to make sure that we could get the chain going in the correct order. There we go. And let's bring it around the corner. We're not even going to have enough hoppers for this, look. So as you can see already, we are really eating into iron supplies. But the hopper chain will eventually link up to this hopper here. And items will then be sent around in a ring, as I say. And eventually filter down into the system below. Alright, welcome back guys. It has been a while since the last recording, but you guys saw me getting some ice, and this ice is being used to transform our input situation. So instead of having a chain of hoppers and wasting a bunch of them, we're going to have 3 hoppers above each silo section, and we're just going to let water push items around until they eventually make their way into the system. And I think this way, things will just be a little bit more bearable on our resources, as well as, I don't know, maybe making it a bit more interesting because we can put some glass above these waterways and that will allow us to see the items flowing around. So who knows, this might work out well, and if not, we can always revert back to the hoppers. Anyway, the reason why this segment has taken so long is because I've built this mammoth circuit, okay, and I'm going to disclaim something right now. There probably is a much more efficient way to make this, but as I say, I'm not the greatest with redstone. I'm trying to learn though, so this is probably a good way to do it, a good way to start. So let me try and give you a bit of an explanation as to what this is. So what we want to do is we want to have a stack of items sent up to us every time we request it. And this hopper clock here is an Etho hopper clock, and it is going to allow us to time out a certain amount of time based on the number of items in the hopper. So at the moment we have a total of 19, and once we run this system, we will see just how many items that dispenses for us. But I will go through a quick explanation first, as I say. So this can have 2 outputs, this hopper clock, a right output and a left output. Our left output is the dropper output, and our right output circles back round to this T flip-flop memory circuit here. So once it reaches this side, the redstone block will get a pulse from this pulse circuit here. So we'll get a quick redstone pulse that will interact with the memory circuit, the T flip-flop, and change the output of the circuit here. So the output, once changed, will come around here unlock this hopper and allow the hopper clock to start working. So all in all, this is pretty complicated, right? And then we also have our manual input here as well so that we can actually control this from above ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a test with 19 items and see how much gravel that gives us, because we filled up this dropper here with some gravel. And of course, we want exactly a stack, no more and no less. So let's give it a quick pulse. That should get things rolling. So we do have to wait a little while for the items just to organize themselves in the hoppers. And then you will see this changes and items start firing out. And then once the clock has run its course, should turn off again. There we go. And that turns everything back off. And we can see just how many items were dispensed. So 37 items we got. 37 items, which is exactly half of what we had in there. We want a stack of 64 though. So 19, we got 37. That's almost half a stack. So maybe we should up this to around. So 2 times 19 would be 38. And we need our redstone here. So we've got 19. We got just over half a stack, so I'm saying that we add maybe another 16 into the system and see what that gives us. So I'm going to run some tests off camera here and try and get this exactly right, and then I'll bring you guys in once we've figured everything out. Feast your eyes, guys. Feast your eyes. Here it is. The redstone circuit has been slightly condensed and moved below our system now. So you can still see the components. Right here we got the Etho hopper clock. Here is the pulse circuit. The T flip-flop is right here, and then the power for the dropper, of course, is here, but vertically rather than horizontally. So what we need to do now is bring some power down from our controls and run it into the system. So what we're going to do initially is run everything directly into a repeater just to extend the signal. And we'll do the same on this side as well, so we need to do a bit of digging for this one. So we'll take this one, I think, back in this direction because it needs to connect to the T flip-flop here. So immediately into a repeater in that direction would be a good idea. And then we'll take the signal from the repeater over here. And then we can start to run this down. So it'll come down a few blocks and directly into the system here. I think that is probably the most efficient way to do it. There we go. So that connects directly into the T flip-flop to request a stack of items. And what we've done as well is we've actually put a lever in so that we can request as many items as we desire. So what we're going to do for this one is probably take the signal out from there. And then we need to bring it back around on itself. And I'm trying to think at what height we need it to go because it needs to come in and attach to the piston here. So we'll probably have a block here maybe. No, actually the block is going to have to go here. A repeater there. And then we'll have a redstone dust running into the repeater like so. Okay, actually, I don't think we need that. We might be able to just run the dust in directly. And then we'll pull it up like this. We're going to have to replace this with another repeater just so that the redstone doesn't attach between the blocks. And I think we'll just run everything at this height unless it needs to go higher. Actually, no, we'll take it up one more block just because it looks like it may intersect elsewhere. And we don't want any of our redstone wires intersecting, of course. So let's figure out where we are. Okay, we're exactly on the right level, which is good. So we'll just run this over here. And again, we've got to be careful here because there could easily be a connection that we don't want. And it's right there by the looks of things. Can we block that off maybe? Yeah, we can block that off. So what we'll do is we'll just pop a bit of stone in. Block that connection off because I don't want any redstone connections where we don't need them. So we'll block that one off like so. And that means we can continue with this pathway that leads us to this connection right here. And this is a total mess. I know it's a total mess, guys. I do apologize. And if we link that up, that won't start firing. Possibly needs another repeater in the circuit. Okay, I can't place it. Yeah, there we go. And you can hear that the system's running. So we've got our two setups attached. And I think a total of 33 items, which is exactly how many we need to request a stack of items. So let's get back up to the surface and turn this off. Because that's kind of annoying, right? So here you go. We've got a lever and a button. So the button will be to request a stack and the lever will be to request as many items as we need, and then we can turn it off once we've got the items that we desire. So moving on, we need to implement a water column in the center of this thing to transfer the items up to us at the surface. Just finishing up the water column, and that is done very simply, as you guys probably know, with a soul sand block, and that will produce the bubbles that push us upwards. So any items that are dispensed into this water tower will immediately be flown up into the sky, and that means that we might have to think about a way to trap them, because obviously we don't really want the items just flying here, there, and everywhere. Anyway, before we get to the end of today's episode, I want to try this thing since we built it and it's taken blood, sweat, and tears to get it done. I'm trying to recall exactly where my other beacon is. I think I actually misplaced it earlier in the episode. It is over here. So we'll see that in just a second. Yes, there it is. Awesome. So, guys, I probably would say that this is one of the most complex builds that I've done in a single episode. So, with all the redstone circuits, I did a lot of research and figured out an optimal way to do it. And I don't think, as I said, it's the most efficient, but I'm fairly certain that it will work. So as long as it works, we can improve efficiency over time, right? So I mentioned earlier in the episode, we've been doing a lot of beacon mining, and that has left us with a lot of goodies here as well, which we need to organize. But that is not what I'm here for. I'm here for the stone. So stone is something that we're going to have in massive, massive quantities. And for that reason, we're going to be building these deep storage caches, as I say, and I'm going to store items such as stone in them. And really, guys, to be honest, these things are a bit more of a showpiece than practical storage, so I wouldn't really recommend building these for yourselves, if I'm 100% honest, just because, as I say, it's a little bit less practical than other storage methods, but it's more of a fun build, a redstone build, and something that's quite cool in my opinion. So I'm going to sleep the night away, and then we'll give this thing a try, see how it does, and I'm hoping that we can get a stack to dispense with the button and unlimited items to dispense with the lever here. Alright guys, so the idea here is to throw your stone into the system. So let's first of all dispatch all of our items into this water stream. And I think that that would be enough stacks to get picked up immediately. So they first of all should get picked up by these hoppers here. And if they don't make it into those hoppers, then they will fall into the other silos. But ideally, we want them to go into this one first, right? Because it's directly connected to the dropper. So we should probably check the dropper, see how many items are in there. We need to wait for at least a stack so that we can test this thing properly. So let's just wait for that stack to come in. And whilst we're doing that, we should probably make a slight change up at the top here so that we can prevent any of the items from falling back down, because we want to be able to see whether or not we're going to get exactly a stack. Okay, let's just fill this in. There we go. That's good. Awesome. Right, so the moment of truth. If we press this button, will we receive a stack of items? We've got to wait just for a little while, because it does take a little bit of time for it to start up. So let's just see. And hopefully, a stack of items is about to come our way. Wait, did I see stuff go in? Okay, here they come. Let's just move back and watch the theatrics. Wow, so it's almost like an item fountain at the moment. We need to fix that, right? That is something we'll do eventually. So once they stop flying into the air, I think that means that everything's been dispensed. And there we have it, exactly a stack of stone. So seems to be working perfectly. Let's try the lever out. So the lever, as opposed to the button, will just dispense items constantly until we turn the signal off. And it should be a little bit quicker, yeah, because this only relies on a straight circuit down to the ground, whereas this relies on the items in the hoppers moving. So if we turn that off, you can see the items will stop bouncing around, hopefully, and we can pick them up, and we got ourselves 48 stone. So I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I'm not going to lie, you guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm quite proud of what we've done here, because this is a little bit out of my scope, I would say, in terms of redstone knowledge, but we managed to pull through with a bit of help from the internet and a couple of guides on YouTube, that kind of thing. And all in all, we've got ourselves a pretty cool storage system. So obviously, next steps are to probably add a bit of design work into this, which we'll do in a coming episode, because this looks pretty grim at the moment. But we've got the function in place, which is exactly what is required to get anything like this up and running. So I'm about to end this episode, guys. Give me a second to prepare, and I will be right back. Alright guys, welcome back to this episode for the last time for today. This has been 142 of the LP series, and today we built ourselves, of course, this nice storage cache, deep storage cache. It's going to be holding a bunch of stone, hopefully, and then we might get a few of these built in the future. I'm not looking forward to that, by the way, because it's a very complex system that takes a bit of time to build, but we will try and get a few more just because it looks strange with the single one. Anyway, that is besides the point. I do hope that you had fun with today's episode. I had a bunch of fun recording it, as I say. Probably learned a lot as well. We'll realize that soon when we get to building our next redstone project. We've probably learned a lot today in terms of research for this build behind me, so that is good stuff. Anyway, guys, I appreciate the fact you came here to watch my video and took time out of your day to do so. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.